Let me go the one on my left. So you're right.
Welcome to Real Talk with Star Scorpio, Season 1, Episode 4. I'm excited to introduce my next guest, but before I do, if you haven't seen Episode 1, Ink Talk with Vic X Inc., check it out on my YouTube page. And if you haven't seen Episode 2, Comic Talk with Eric Escobar, also check it out on my YouTube page. Now, I'm excited to introduce my next guest, Eddie Knight. He's a musician and content creator. You know, sometimes there are people that you come across in life and they have a talent that you're drawn to. Eddie has that hip hop flow that I was drawn to. He's a very smart young man. Let's bring him in and see what he has to share. All right, good morning, Eddie Knight. Welcome to Real Talk with Star Scorpio. How you doing today?
Going on, my man. I'm good. Good to talk to you. Good to see you live in person, man.
Nice, nice. And you know we're broadcasting from Toronto. Tell the people where you are right now.
I am in the United States, man. I'm in Arkansas.
Nice. Born and raised?
Man, I was born in Central Arkansas, you know, like near the capital, Little Rock area. Went to Missouri for a bit, a couple of years for school, and now I'm back in Arkansas, but like Northwest Arkansas, near the University of Arkansas, Razorbacks.
All right, cool. So before we talk about the music, I want to know a little bit about your basketball career, because in your bio, you mentioned that you were playing basketball from the age of 4 all the way to college. So
Yeah.
let's just talk about that for a minute before we get the music talk underway.
Nice, yeah, man. I played basketball pretty much all my life, man. Like most of the people, that was like the first love, you know, before music. And I found, you know, I started making music in college, actually. You know, a couple of my teammates were like making a mixtape and they wanted me on it, recorded, man, and, you know, didn't look back ever since. But yeah, I went to high school in Benton, played there, you know, had a really good high school career. Then I went the junior college route for 2 years before I went to a 4-year university and finished up there. You know what I mean? I had a overall really just solid career. You know what I mean? I couldn't really get over that hump though, you know, like that hump of being like a great college player, but I had like a good college career. Had a few injuries that set me back. You know, I had like tore my ACL and tore my PCL as well. And those kind of really hindered me, but you know, I ended up, you know, getting to play all 4 years and finished out, man, at a small college out here called Ecclesia, like a private college, and you know, finished out up here, man. Yeah.
You know, what position were you?
I was like the everywhere, man. I played point guard through power forward, man, depending on, you know, what we needed.
And how tall are you, by the way?
I'm my basketball height, you know, I'm like 6'3", you know, but in real life I'm like 6'1".
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you talked about like how you got into music, your college teammates. But what were some of your music influences and the era of hip hop that you draw from?
A little bit of everywhere, man. Like when I was younger, I listened to a lot. You know, I'm from the South, man. So, you know, UGK, Bun B, those guys, you know, like Ludacris, a lot of those type of guys, you know, Andre 3000, probably one of my favorite rappers all time. But, you know, in college, man, I listened to a lot of like, you know, I wouldn't say they're not new now, but, you know, kind of past 10 years. So relatively new, you know, like Drake, J. Cole, Big Sean, Wale, a lot of those guys too. So kind of mixture of those two generations, you know, early 2000s to 2010 and like, you know, 90s.
Yeah, of course. I got a question about that later, man, when we get into the hip hop talk. But for you, what is the creative process like when you're making music?
For me personally, I mean, everybody's a little different, but me, like, I'm a hook guy. So I write like choruses like all day, you know what I mean? And like, I'll be at work and messing around and something will come in my head, you know, I'll write a chorus and, you know, then I just record all of my courses and just listen to them over and over for, you know, weeks at a time, maybe even months at a time. And then if I'm like thinking of dropping a song or a project, you know, I'll go in and, you know, just write a quick verse, or sometimes I'll just, you know, not freestyle, but, you know, just kind of go in off the top of the head every few bars, just recording like 4 bars at a time until I got like something good. And I'll take like the gems from it, if, you know, like right around those, you know what I mean? So it's kind of a really loose process. I don't really like stress on just sitting down and writing a full verse like in one session. You know what I mean? I like to listen to it for a while because how it goes, man, like making music. I mean, you do content too, so you kind of know like how it goes making music. You'll record something and you'll be excited about it for like that first 2 months, and then 3 months later, it's like, I'm better than I was at that time. So you don't even end up dropping it.
Yeah.
So I like to just record my hooks first, and then I'll wait to record the verse until I know like I'm almost ready to release it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, being broken, I bear it. Your pity, just stare it like Derek. I rose for this. Face the man in the mirror. My vision is clearer. Yeah, I took control of this.
Do you let people listen to any ideas or anything that you create before you put anything out, or just to get their opinion on what you've created?
But yeah, man, I let some people hear it sometimes. It just really depends. Like with the album, I will, because for me personally, I know albums aren't like as important as they used to be, but like when I make an album, I like to have like a concept, even if it's a loose concept, So I'll send it to some people to at least see if it makes sense. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily to see if they like the songs, because I mean, not to sound like cocky, but I necessarily don't really care.
Yeah,
but like
yeah.
I just want to see if like my concept at least like makes sense. You know what I mean? So I'll send it to some people. It's a few people I'll send it to.
Of course. I was on your YouTube page, and I was checking the track Champion, and I really like that. And I specifically want to talk about the track called Another Level.
Yeah.
The beat is so nice. The lyrics are nice. What inspired you to do that track?
Hey,
Hippo on the beat.
whoa. Too faded to care. Listen. Look, I'm on another level. I'm so deep you might need a shovel. Can you dig it, boy? I'm shining like a bezel. You must be snorting powder if you thinking messing with me, boy. I'm ready for whatever.
Appreciate it, man. Another Level, it was my latest single I released in. Man, I was just like looking for beats, man. I heard that beat and recorded it. And, like sometimes like, I want to do a concept and I want to do something deep, but sometimes I just kind of want to like flex my rap skill a little bit,
Yeah.
And that was one of those beats, and that was one of those songs where I was just kind of doing that, no necessary rhyme or reason to it, or deeper meaning. I just kind of wanted to rap, and I really like that beat, and that's kind of like the influence of like the 90s era, like they just used to just get on the mic and just talk their talk, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I kind of do it over like a newer production,
Why is it important for artists to get their music on as many platforms as they can, or any outlets as they can?
Man, it's just so many different people in the world, and like everybody uses something different, like even if it's a service that you only get 100 streams a month on, you know what I mean? Like that extra 100 listens is worth it, not only for, financially, but just, just having more people listen to your music, the better, you know what I mean?
But now on the same topic, what are some of the negatives of having your music out there in the cosmos, especially if you're not a signed artist?
There's a few, you know what I mean? Like, once you put it in the world, man, it's not really yours anymore. Everybody can listen and critique, judge, and not only judge, other people may get inspired by it. Somebody may even be somebody that's like more established than you, and you just kind of got to eat that, man. It happens a lot, Fortunately, there's people like Drake, he'll get inspired and then he'll reach out and he'll get that artist on the song, so I always kind of appreciated that about Drake.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just kind of one of the things you got to deal with for sure.
And what advice would you give to a struggling artist that needs to be heard, or even someone new to the game, and drawing from your experience in the hip hop game?
And the biggest thing I see is just too many people are on that worried about perfection. You know what I mean? They want to come out super polished and good and with the best mic and the best cameras, and honestly, you just got to get started, even if it's trash, even if you don't feel like super comfortable with it. You just got to put it out because, people want to see like that journey. They want to see your journey of you getting better. So, like I work like I mix and master and record people too, and I'll work with a lot of people, and they'll be like, "Man, I'm working on this song," and I'll talk to them 3 months later, still haven't put it out. A year later, still haven't put it out. It's always like a different excuse, man. You gotta get started, man. Like most of my music videos on my YouTube page are shot off my iPhone.
Don't make no sense. I swear it don't make no sense. Yeah. Look, if you don't make no money, then it don't make no sense. I was trying to make a change, but I gotta pay my rent. So I got off that conscious tip, and you never got right back lit. Looking at my accomplishments like, man, I gotta expand my list.
That's always my advice. You just got to start. You can't wait till it's perfect because it's never going to be that right time. And like I was talking about earlier, you're always going to feel like you're getting better and your old stuff is not as good. So you just gotta put out your stuff, man.
Yeah, that progression. Do you ever listen to your old stuff or some of the first tracks that you put out and be like, oh man, I wish I didn't do that or anything?
Sometimes, yeah. Not necessarily I wish I didn't do that. More on the lines of like, man, like I really wasn't that good.
Seasoned, yeah.
Or like, it's like one album I have called Good Medicine. It was like my first like attempt at like a concept album. Mm-hmm. And it had a lot of really good concepts, but like I always mix and master my own music. And just the mixes were just really bad, man. But the songs were so good, but the mixes were terrible. And I just wish that I waited a little bit longer to, work on my mixing and mastering skills to put it out. Cause it was a good project. It just suffered from just me not being a good engineer at the time,
Yeah. And
go on. I would say, or maybe I should have just, spent a little money and at the time had somebody else mix and master it. But, I was really like, I want to do it all myself. But, it is what it is.
Right. Do you have a team that you work with?
Not necessarily a team, but, I have a couple producers that I go to for beats. Like I make my own beats some, but it's just so time consuming, man. It's just, I'm either going to be in a mode of making beats or I'm going to be in a mode of rapping, and I would rather rap. So I have a few producers that I go to, but as far as engineering, man, I do all my engineering. So
yeah,
I do the engineering and the recording part, and I have some producers make the beats, and I have a couple people that, that help me sequence, like, because usually on an album, my favorite song is not going to be the people's just listening favorite song. It's just, I've accepted that at this point. So I just get like some people to help sequence it and like, what you think the order should be, stuff like that.
What projects are you working on right now? Anything you'd like to share?
Sure, man. I have a few EPs, all with like loose concepts, one is called Humbly Cocky AF. It's just basically, it's exactly what it sounds like, a lot of braggadocious rap type stuff.
Right.
Really bombastic beats, loud, kind of in your face, just like 6 or 7 tracks. And then I got one called The Vent, where it's just, exactly what it sounds, just kind of more of what I'm kind of known for, just introspective, sharing my feelings type of rap. And then there's one that's Untitled, where it's just kind of like, I don't know, I don't really know what to call it, but it's very like early 2000s, late 90s Southern influence, you know what I mean? Like really like groovy, a bass guitar type stuff,
right.
Just all different types of songs on it.
Nice.
Yeah, that's the 3 that I'm working on right now.
Nice. I was intrigued by your podcast. I can ask many different things about that, but I would like you to give me a little summary of your podcast. What's it about and what made you start it in the first place?
So my podcast, the Eddie Knight podcast, it was for artist by artist. So initially I started it because, occasionally when I didn't have any music to post, I would just post like stuff about that I thought everyone that made music know, but that's what I kind of learned the first video, that a lot of people didn't know this stuff. So just like, stuff on how to get started, how to get your stuff on streaming platforms, how to promote your music, how to, construct a mixtape, just stuff like that. And it started out very like artist catered, like only artists, and it eventually kind of evolved into like just music in the general, music industry, some album reviews, that type of stuff like that. But yeah, I just started because, it's just a lot of artists that really don't know anything about anything other than going to the studio,
Right.
And I'm naturally just a information nerd, so I just assumed that everybody knew all this stuff, but I found out they didn't, so I just saw a niche for it and started it.
Yeah, and there's always a niche for those kind of things. And if you ever posted something on YouTube that's helpful, you'll see by the hits, you're like, oh, there's always people interested in knowing about many different things in life. I've always heard about owning your own masters and also publishing rights. Can you just touch on that so other people know about it, and even myself?
Okay, so yeah, so masters are like when everything's recorded. So the song you hear on a radio, that's a master.
Okay.
And like I guess where it kind of gets tricky is there can be different recordings. So maybe there's another recording of the same exact song, same exact words, with just a different master recording. That's a whole nother master. So basically that initial recording that you hear, say from, you're from Toronto, so say Drake. Mm-hmm. So let's say Universal owns his masters. I don't know who owns his masters, if he does or not, but let's say Universal owns his masters, they own that song. So if that song goes platinum, yeah, of course, Drake will get paid, and yes, he'll get his plaque to show. Mm-hmm. But as far as the actual song, all the real currency and money made from it, whoever owns the masters is getting the bulk of it, If you're a good major artist, you'll get like 20%. But if you own your masters, you'll usually get anywhere from 70 to 90. You'll just have a publisher who will take 30 to 10 to 30%, so you own your masters, you own the music, you own the track, you can do whatever you want from it, but somebody just gets a little bitty piece of some income that comes off of it, which is, it just kind of depends on what you're looking to do. You know what I mean? If you want to just be big and have a lot of people hear it, then, it's probably more beneficial to, be signed in some sort of deal. But if you would rather, be an owner and you believe in your work and you want to make a little bit more money, then you would definitely own your masters. You know what I mean?
Makes sense. And yeah. I guess what I hear is anytime someone uses your content, so if it's in a movie, if someone takes it for another project, you're getting residuals or payment off of that. Is that how it's like?
Yeah. So that would be your publishing. So yeah. So anything outside of that, like your music is in a movie, your music is in a TV show, a YouTube video, commercial, all that, that would be your publishing rights, So yeah. So even if you're an independent artist, you can sign up for things called performance rights organizations like ASCAP, BMI, and they allow you to they basically just register your song with the infinite bank of songs that are out there. And right. Anytime your sound's used, you're able to collect your royalties off of that. So everybody should definitely be signed up with a BMI, with BMI or ASCAP, and there's a couple more. I think TuneCore does it as well. But yeah, that's your publishing. Masters is more of who owns the actual music, Right. So you can own your publishing rights, but maybe not own your masters, or you can own your masters and not own your publishing rights. It's kind of tricky. That's why you hear like a lot of older acts re-recording and re-releasing music.
Yeah.
Because the label owns that original master file of that song. So anytime it's streamed, it's going to the label and not them. So they make a new file recorded, same song, same words, just new recording. So then they can receive all the royalties from that song, Yeah, that would be the different master file.
Makes sense. I thought I heard something about months ago, Dame Dash and his master Jay-Z. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but he wanted to sell something.
Some of Jay-Z's like publishing or something.
Yeah.
Probably some of his publishing or some of his masters, because they had one of those old deals, and those old deals are, they weren't very great back in the day. So more than likely, if you're not a Jay-Z, somebody owns your stuff.
Yeah. So
they can sell it off to whoever they want to sell it off to. Unfortunately, it's kind of one of the downfalls of not owning your masters. Like I don't know if you've seen the meme, about Michael Jackson buying M&M's.
Yeah.
Masters, you know what I mean?
Saw that. Yeah.
Somebody can just own your stuff, own your intellectual property.
Mm-hmm. So Eddie, there's three main hip hop questions that I'm going to ask you that people talk about there, right out there. And we had this conversation before, and I just want to get your take on three main topics.
Okay.
So you've heard it before. Would there be a Jay-Z if Biggie didn't pass?
I believe some people just have it, man, So I believe that Jay-Z would have been Jay-Z regardless. Obviously, being around Biggie, being able to soak up knowledge from Biggie, obviously that's going to help, But I feel like he would have got there regardless. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Yeah, I feel he would have got there regardless. It just helped propel it a little faster. But even then, Jay-Z's rise to fame wasn't quick. It took a while. I would even argue that Biggie being around probably slowed it down a little bit. He probably would have been on a little earlier if it wasn't Biggie, because Biggie was a really big personality, man, and he was from the same exact place. So he was just undeniably that guy. So I would probably argue the other way, that if Biggie wasn't around, Jay-Z probably would have got on a few years quicker. It took him like 10 years to blow up,
Good take. Okay, so the next one, the top 5 question is always asked. Everyone has their own measures on who makes that list. You can talk about lyrical flow, presence, rhyme scheme, cadence. So I'm going to spin it a different way from you and hopefully garner the same results. I want to know some of the artists you personally need to bump in your car.
You gotta have Andre, man. He's just a unicorn, bro. He just pops up every 2 years and just murders some tracks and it just disappears, man. He's a unicorn, man. I gotta have some Andre. Gotta have some Big Crit. Gotta have some Drake. Gotta have some J. Cole. Fifth one, who I gotta have? I'll go Luda. Gotta have some Luda too.
Ludacris.
Yeah.
I see the down south influence.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah. Last question about hip hop. Was hip hop on the path of being watered down from the golden years? So, I'm from the 90s and the 80s, late 80s, 90s type hip hop. But to me, it's hard to sustain the quality in respect to what I believe hip hop was, especially when you bring in money and fame. But what's your opinion on that?
I'm kind of like on both ends of that. I don't think we all say, it's hip hop's dying and stuff like that. I don't really think we understand how the internet just changed everything, man. So it's honestly, it's still high levels of talent and rap skill out there. Like, I love Biggie, one of the greatest, but you can't tell me that Kendrick Lamar doesn't rap better than Biggie Smalls. You know what I mean? Like, it's a definite progression. It's just that, like in the 90s, like there was your MC Hammers, there was your guys that were obviously like more pop rap, and they were respected and they made a lot of money, but the people who really spit, those were the ones who were held in the highest regard.
Right.
Now I just think it's kind of changed to now the MC Hammer type rappers are the most revered. And I think that's where it rubs some of the golden era hip hop guys the wrong way, because those guys are still out there. The people who rap over boom bap, people who are super lyrical, super, super nice, they're still there. They're just not at the forefront like the people who are a little more flashy, make a little more money, do stuff like that. So it's not like it's as a whole went down. It's just who's being held in the highest regard. You know, I think that's what's changed. And I think I think people confuse that for being hip hop as a whole, but that's not hip hop as a whole. You like lyrical stuff. It's a ton of people out there, man. A ton of people out there who still got it.
True that. All right, Eddie, the last thing, let people know where they can find you. Let them know your social media. Where do they go?
Yeah, man. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's usually where I'm most active. Instagram, Eddie Night Owl. That's EDDIE. NIGHT Owl, like the bird. Eddie Night Owl. And in my bio, you'll see in my other pages that I have, my podcast page, and I'm on Twitter. Just talking about music and movies and stuff a lot. On Eddie Night Pods. Eddie Night Pods on Twitter. Eddie Night PODS on Twitter, and YouTube is just Eddie Knight TV. I do a lot of different random crap on there. So, just a little bit more than music on my YouTube if you just want to see what else I'm into.
Nice. So Eddie, we're at the time now where you're going to pick a charity for me. So I got 3 balloons. You're going to tell Star Scorpio which balloons to pop, and then I'll know who I'm donating to for the 4th time.
Okay. Let me go the one on my left. So you're right.
Let's check it out. So the 4th charity Star Scorpio is donating to is, look at that, back to back.
Who we got? Okay, Canadian Cancer Society. Dope.
Yeah. Thank you, Eddie. Thanks for coming out today. I really appreciate it. And
I appreciate you having me on, man.
That's episode 4 in the books. All right, man, we out.